Good morning. My name is Jane Rago, and I am delighted to be here today and serve as your worship associate. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah. Our minister, the Reverend Lisa Day, is our worship leader this morning, and our worship, religious education, and covenant group theme for December is the practice of peace. Peaceful presence. Here at the UU Church of Savannah, we are working to build a diverse, multicultural, and beloved community. We celebrate the presence and participation of people of all races, genders, sexual orientations, abilities, and ethnic and national origins. We warmly welcome you on YouTube, in here, and on site, whoever you know yourself to be and wherever you are on your journey. If you're visiting with us this morning, or it's been a while and you want to just say hello and reintroduce yourself, we invite you to raise your hand. Raven will be bringing a microphone around, and to make sure that our community on YouTube can hear, please make sure that you do speak into the microphone. Do we have any visitors on this side who'd like to say hello? Okay. Do we have any visitors on this side who would like to say hello?
Hello, I'm Fran.
Welcome. If you're looking for a new faith community, I don't see anybody. Okay. Oh, yes, okay, yes, over.
Hi all, we're visiting Swanson family. We're from Savannah, but this is our second time attending, so hi all.
Hi, welcome. If you're looking for a new faith community, we encourage you to visit several times to get a feel for our worship style and our approach to matters of faith and religion. It is so good to have you all here with us. Please join us after the service in Ron Hall for refreshments, and you can find Ron Hall by following the crowd out these doors, or ask Raven or Dorothy, the ushers. After our children's story today and after the offering, we will sing a short response, and those lyrics are printed in the order of service. There are also two cards in the pew back in front of you that help us gather information for the good of our community. You can use the QR code on the Rainbow Chalice card to sign up for our newsletter and to receive a welcome letter from our minister, or you can also just fill out the card by hand. And the card with the red heart and chalice is there to share a joy or a sorrow. And if you fill out either of those cards, please place them in the collection basket later on in the service. Church announcements are emailed to members and friends on Tuesdays and Fridays, so check your email for all the details. But we do have a couple of announcements. Thank you to Martha Weaver, Roger Steves, Julie Gillard, and Judy Deinhardt, and Mark Kalum for readying our sanctuary for the holiday concert, Merry and Bright, which is scheduled for next Sunday. That's the 14th of December. That's the 15th. I'll get there. It is a week from today, right here, 3 p.m. This is going to sell out quickly, so get your tickets as soon as you can. And also, come caroling this Wednesday, which is maybe the 11th, in Troop Square. So Wednesday, 5 p.m., we are going to sing carols. We're going to drink hot cider. There's going to be holiday treats, and it's going to be really great cheer. Weather dependent. Okay. Join the coastal interfaith of which our green team is a part of, for a winter solstice contemplative gathering. There will be a labyrinth, there will be journaling and sharing around the fire as we contemplate our interdependence with the rest of the world. That is on Saturday, December 21st, which is the solstice, from 3 to 5 p.m. at Wesley Gardens. And you can talk to Kevin if you want more details. With the lighting of our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we enter into sacred time. Our chalice lighter this morning is Paul Johnson. Our chalice words were written by Jacaren Olaya. We light this chalice here in the darkness of winter as we wait. This temporary space is one filled with prayers to be answered, love to be given and received, miracles to be witnessed. May this light guide us until the light of the sun returns again. This year, our Advent candles are being lit by families and individuals who have become members of the church in the past year. Today's candle lighters are Lydia, Gita, and Matt Brigman. Our candle lighting words for the second week of Advent, with its theme of peace, come from the late Oscar Romero, Archbishop of San Salvador. Peace is not the product of terror or fear. Peace is not the silence of cemeteries. Peace is not the silent result of violent repression. Peace is the generous, tranquil contribution to all, to the good of all. Peace is dynamism. Peace is generosity. It is right and it is duty. Thank you.
This is the waiting time. Waiting is never easy. Poisoned by dread, enlivened by excitement, waiting distorts our relationship to time. Stop. Keep the feared moment at bay. Hurry up. Let the joy arrive. Waiting acknowledges incompleteness. What's missing? What is yet to come? Why do we wait? This is the waiting time. Waiting is never easy. Will you please rise now in spirit or in body for our opening hymn number 225, O Come, Emmanuel. It's time now for our story. Everyone who would like to see the pictures may come forward. Is that okay? It might be I forgot to turn off my phone on the pulpit. Our story this morning is called Hurry, Hurry, Have You Heard? A brand new star rose in the sky and shone with all its might to celebrate a baby's birth on a peaceful winter night. 3 kittens sleeping in the straw, all snug in downy fur, woke to found the newborn boy, and they began to purr. A small bird nesting on a beam hopped down from up above, and when the baby smiled at her, her heart filled up with love. So out over the countryside she soared on wings of joy, inviting friends from far and wide to welcome the new boy. Hurry, hurry, have you heard? A child was born tonight, and every creature, large or small, is precious in his sight. Hurry, bunny, hurry, fox. He's come to bring us peace, and just for him a special star has risen in the east. Hurry, pup. The pup woke up, and with a playful leap, he bounded off to see the babe and brought 2 little sheep. Scurry, furry little mouse. The mouse gazed at the star, deciding she would go along, although it might be far. A tiny shrew called, I'll go too, and scampered from his tree, just as Mole popped from her hole, exclaiming, wait for me. The spider and the ladybug and other creeping things joined in, while bee and hummingbird flew fast on whispering wings. Last but not least, a tortoise crawled quite calmly at the rear. I know I'm slow, but still I'll go to wish the child good cheer. When Mole and Pup and Little Mouse and Shrew and Bumblebee all crowded round the little boy, he crowed and cooed with glee. Then all his new friends welcomed him. Each had a way to speak, with yip or mew or wiggle, with buzz or chirp or squeak. Oh, what a noisy serenade. The babe began to cry. His mama took him in her arms and crooned a lullaby. Then quiet, like a soft quilt spread, till not one purr or peep was heard from kitten, babe, or bird, for they were fast asleep. Thank you for listening. We will sing you On Your Way to Religious Education.
We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and in sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Our offerings will now be gratefully received either by cash, check, or electronically by using the QR code in the order of service. Thank you. We have a few joys today. We have a joy from Vicki Weeks, who had a wonderful 10-day visit with her brother, whom she had not seen in 2 years. And we have another joy from Brett and Jennifer Highland, who are happy to announce the marriage of their daughter, Suzanne, to her partner, Heather, in a civil ceremony in Brooklyn, New York on October 22nd. Woo. We hold all of our joys and all of our sorrows, spoken and unspoken, in the hearts of this community. Please join me in reading the litany in your order of service. Sorrow is everywhere.
Yet joy is reborn.
As we mourn together,
So we celebrate together.
And offer thanks,
That we are not alone.
so may it be now and in all the days to come.
Let us enter into a spirit of meditation. This might be the only lesson of the religious life, that we are not in control, not of the workings of the universe, nor of our companions within it. Until we learn this lesson into our hearts, into our bones, into the workings of our cells, we are called to wait. Wait against our desires. Wait against our nature. For if we have not accepted that we are not in control, then we will anticipate and wait. Wait for the rising of the sun, and for the day the light will lengthen and grow strong. Wait even as the days grow shorter still. Wait for hearts to change. Wait for gestures and words of love. Wait for minds to change. Wait for acts of justice and words of reconciliation. Wait for the days to be accomplished that love should be born. Wait, oh, wait for the shifting of our own spirits, for its motion, too, lies not in our control, but in the fullness of time, hastened only when we give ourselves over into the waiting. Amen. Our first reading this morning, Nothing is Far, by Robert Francis. Though I have never caught the word of God from any calling bird, I hear all that the ancients heard. Though I have seen no deity enter or leave a twilit tree, I see all that the seers see. A common stone can still reveal something not stone, not seen, yet real. What may a common stone conceal? Nothing is far that once was near. Nothing is hid that once was clear. Nothing was God that is not here. Here is the bird, the tree, the stone. Here is in the sun I sit alone between the known and the unknown. And from Kevin Young, Expecting. Grave, my wife lies back, hands cross her chest, while the doctor searches early for your heartbeat, peach pit, unripe plum, pulls out the world's worst boombox, a Mr. Microphone to broadcast your mother's lifting belly. the whoosh and bellows of Mama's body, and beneath it, nothing. Beneath the slow stutter of her heart, nothing. The doctor trying again to find you, fragile fern, snowflake, nothing. After, my wife will say, in fear, impatient, she went beyond her body, this tiny room, into the ether. For now, we spelunk for you one last time. Lost canary, miner of coal and chalk, lungs not yet black. I hold my wife's feet to keep her here and me, trying not to dive starboard to seek you in the dark water. And there it is, faint, an echo, faster and further away from the mothers, all beatbox and fuzzy feedback. You are like hearing hip hop for the first time, power hijacked from a lamppost, all promise. You couldn't sound better. Break dancer, my favorite song bumping from a passing car. You've snuck into the club underage and stayed. Only later, much, will your mother begin to believe you're drumming in the distance. My Kansas City and Congo Square, this jazz band vaping on inside her. Will you please turn to responsive reading number 618 in the back of the gray hymnal? In this night, the stars left their habitual places. In this night, the shepherds left their posts.
To shout the new slogans into each other's flock ears.
In this night, the foxes left their warm burrows.
And the lion spoke with deliberation. This is the end revelation.
In this night, roses fooled the earth.
And began to bloom in the snow.
Here end the readings. Will you rise in body or spirit for our Advent hymn number 224, written by Unitarian Universalist minister, Let Christmas Come. I observe some Unitarian Universalist tinged version of Advent every winter. I observe it in my home, usually lighting the candles and reading from texts both ancient and contemporary, because my parents observed it in my childhood home, with the lighting of candles and reading of texts both ancient and contemporary. Besides, I'm a minister and I'm all about poetry and ritual and candles. I observe it in the churches I serve, not because it was observed in my childhood church, it wasn't, but rather because I know that many Unitarian Universalists are spiritually fed by ritual, even if they aren't ministers. And probably some few of those you use for whom such a statement is off-putting nevertheless respond in a primal way to the ancient and enduring act of kindling a flame. With the power of that simple gesture in mind, Advent is, if nothing else, an opportunity to light candles. So then, tradition and the desire for more candles drive me to arrange greenery and purple and pink candles in my home and our sanctuary December after December. But I've become aware this year that I have another motivation for inviting us into Advent each year. You've heard me say before several times that holidays from Easter to All Souls, from Passover to Juneteenth, from Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's to Martin Luther King Jr. Day, holidays give us discrete seasons to practice rituals of joy and sorrow, liberation, gratitude and hope, fresh beginnings, and the work of justice making. They give our underused and sometimes atrophied spiritual and emotional muscles a workout so that when times of rejoicing and grieving, giving thanks and embodying hope arise without advance notice any month or day of the year, we'll be in fine form to respond almost without thought. So too with Advent. These 4 weeks leading up to Christmas invite us to practice expectant waiting and expectant preparation. As our opening words reminded us, so much of life is waiting. It is good to have a time of deliberate and faithful practice. Practice waiting well with more purpose than resentment. Christians prepare and wait for the birth of God into the world in the human form as an infant Jesus. And Unitarian Universalists, with our penchant for embracing spiritually sound practices from many faiths and adapting them to fit our theology, we might undertake a practice of waiting and preparing for the birth of the divine, the holy, mystery, wonder, even God, perhaps, into the world. One of the plot lines of the second Star Trek movie, The Wrath of Khan, centers on Project Genesis, an experiment several years in the making that, it is hoped, will, through a process I no longer remember and never understood, and it's all fiction anyway, make it possible for life to be created where there had been no life. An utterly lifeless planet, not a single slightest hint of life anywhere. A barren, in the truest sense of the word, planet is subjected to the process and sees full of microscopic life begin to form, and eventually plants, and so on, not surprisingly in the same order we know life to have arisen on our planet. When at the end of the movie, Captain Spock sacrifices his one life for the survival of the many, his dead body is placed in a capsule and jettisoned from the Starship Enterprise, bound for that once desolate place, now teeming with burgeoning life. Kirk vows to return someday, and as viewers of the third Star Trek movie, The Search for Spock, know, the magic of Project Genesis does in fact create life where there was no life in the body of Spock, as well as on that planet in the animals and plants that emerge from inert rock to inhabit the world. That part of the story doesn't come into today's sermon. Our planet, the world we inhabit, though in peril, is not lifeless, not utterly desolate. But I know for many of us it does seem utterly barren of holiness. So often when we search for some hint of magic, of miracle, of divinity, something worthy of our awe, wonder, and reverence, what we encounter instead is concrete. Abandoned buildings, suspect business practices, profit-driven corporate greed, warfare, microplastics, air quality alerts, reports of another species feared extinct, hunger, casual disregard for the suffering of anyone who might be considered other. All things we might consider the opposite of God stuff. All things that might seem to signal the utter absence of holiness. Certainly nothing worthy our adoration or reverence. Still, my Unitarian Universalist faith has taught me my entire life that what others would look toward heaven for, we must seek and will find in this earthly realm. So I am grateful for Advent's invitation to prepare for the birth of holiness. But it is a curious kind of waiting and expectation that Advent teaches. Jesus was already born into the world more than 2,000 years ago, a historical fact, whatever theology we may or may not lay over it. So strictly speaking, God already manifested God's self in human form. No need for preparation, no need for waiting. But Christians will tell us that Jesus' incarnation isn't a one-and-done sort of phenomenon. He came, and they teach he will come again at the end of time. Advent is a reminder that they must be ever prepared and preparing for the second coming. And I expect they also observe Advent because it is human nature to forget that Jesus was born, or more accurately, to forget to live as though he was born. Taught a message of radical love and preference for the least among us, and lived what he taught. As Unitarian Universalists, we might be less concerned on a daily basis with the life of Jesus and the theology of Christianity, but for us too, Advent might be understood as a time of preparing for something that has already come into our world. Our first reading this morning suggested that all that the ancients saw and heard, all that they experienced and recognized as holy, as miracles, as God stuff, all that we see and hear too. I hear all that the ancients heard. I see all that seers see. Nothing is far that once was near. Nothing is hid that once was clear. Nothing was God that is not here. It's all here in our world, surrounding us and suffusing us, waiting for us to but see and hear and recognize as the wonders of nature, the miracle of human love and compassion, the divine spark within each of our companions upon the earth. So we don't observe Advent to practice waiting and preparing for the birth of the divine, though a week ago I would have told you that's precisely why we observe Advent. No, the 13th century mystic St. Angela of Foligno declared, "The world is pregnant with God." And our responsive reading today invited us to embrace a traditional trope that says even as God was born in human form on the earth, multiple unlikely events unfolded. Predator and prey lying down together, whispered predictions of revolution, roses blooming in the snow, events that might signal divinity is at loose in the world. I say yes to the saint and yes to the poet. Yes, the world is always pregnant with God, and not just that night. the purported occasion of Jesus' birth, but every night and morning and afternoon, God is born into the world and always, always, always full of God and God stuff. We're not waiting and preparing for the day to arrive when some sort of celestial experimental scientist sends down a beam of divinity to infuse this utterly mundane world with holiness, with God stuff a la Project Genesis. Rather, Advent can be for us a season of preparing and practicing for the day when our mere and nobly mortal senses apprehend that creation is already everywhere divine, and waiting for the day when that apprehension is second nature to us. I believe it is true, as Robert Francis asserted, that we see and hear all that the ancients saw and heard. That is, that divinity is swirling and manifest throughout creation. You can't convince me that we did not hear the voice of divinity arguing before the Supreme Court of the United States this week, emanating from the body of Chase Strangio, the first ever openly trans attorney to argue before the Supreme Court. And the echo of that holiness was heard across our land and around the world and will re-echo for years to come for all who have ears to recognize it. You can't convince me that we didn't see the embodiment of divinity in this room a week and a half ago when Muslim, Jewish, and Christian faith leaders stepped into this pulpit to read their respective holy scriptures. And a Lutheran pastor led a prayer written by a Unitarian Universalist pastor. And a Roman Catholic rector offered a benediction just moments after an ordained female Protestant minister had preached a message of thanksgiving. And those gathered in the pews gave $700 to support the work of Union Mission. You can't convince me that divinity didn't fill the halls of COP29 in Azerbaijan last month, or accompany Olympic delegations to Paris last summer, or dwell within casual laborers waiting to be chosen for a day's work every day this week and next week. You can't convince me that it isn't divinity that elicits our awe at the ebb and flow of tides, our wonder when medical skill and human will to live, preserve life, and restore health when death had seemed all but certain. Our amusement when we observe interplay between species and recognize ourselves in those interactions. Our contentment and tears of joy when beholding the faces and hearing the voices and clasping the hands of those human beings or animal companions we hold most dear and loved in all the world. Still, though our world is everywhere already divine, it was hard for me to come up with these few examples. There are layers and layers of brokenness and corruption hiding and obscuring what should glow unmistakably, sing in clarion tones. Indeed, today's second reading poignantly reminded us how hard we have to look sometimes, how carefully we have to listen, how persistent we have to be in our search. We sometimes, often, must spelunk for evidence of the holy in our midst, and it is often faint, far away, and fuzzy as though transmitted through Mr. Microphone. And when we finally recognize it, it is as wondrous as a favorite song heard from the open window of a passing car or a jazz band playing in our very soul. The difficulty of the task makes practice imperative. It doesn't diminish the blessing. Our closing hymn in just a moment, with lyrics written by the same lyricist who wrote Morning Has Broken. This hymn promises that love is on its way as a guest, as a star, as a rose, and in a verse that didn't make it into our hymnal, love is on its way as a bird. But those are already here. Guests and stars, roses and birds, and most of all, love, filling our existence with holiness. In these days of the Advent season still before us, may we practice recognizing the divinity already born into the world in the guests we welcome into our homes and welcome into our church and welcome into our country, in the stars that shine in the story of the Nativity and the stars that shine wherever we see the night sky, in the roses that bloom in our gardens and the roses that bloom in parks, in the birds that nest in trees in our yards and birds that sing unseen as they pass by on their way, and in the love larger than any human embrace that is nevertheless transmitted through every tender, non-coercive human embrace, the love that holds us and will not let us go. And so, having practiced, may we be prepared and in good form that when we encounter the brokenness, corruption, and devastation of the world, as we will again and again, we are each time a bit more practiced at apprehending the beauty, the wonder, the holiness amidst it all. And may the blessing of these small fragments of divinity be that they call us every day further into the work of healing the world. Amen. And now, hymn number 226, People Look East. Will you please rise in spirit or in body?
And before we sing, we just want to note that we're celebrating birthdays today. Today's the birthday of Grace Wilson, and coming later this week is our minister's birthday. And we have a big birthday cake in Ron Hall, so we invite you all in there to sing happy birthday to both of them.
The waiting time is holy time. In the not yet abides possibility. Fate not sealed, die not cast. Hope is born. Waiting invites depth, richness, intensity. The fruitcake absorbs the rum, the brine cures the fish, and the unborn child grows whole. In the waiting time, all things come to fullness. Blessed is the waiting time. Amen.